Go ahead and refresh this again. Okay, Discord updated. It's going to take a bit for everything to show back up. The title has changed. We're good. We are good. And just to fix a couple of things here. Make sure chat's working. Be working with Luna today. That's the Luna icon. If you got FFZ, I got icons. I got icons. Okay, but we'll be working with Luna here in just a couple seconds. My most popular character. So, somebody asked about hair textures and custom hair textures, and I mean, really, what is there to say? The person asking the question was really vague about it, but he did eventually come out to say that he wanted to change colors. So yeah, I can do that. I can go over the stuff that I do in GIMP to work on textures. So before we do that, we need some hair, and just gotta figure out what would be easy to work with for hair. So maybe this. I admit this wasn't completely prepared, but we'll work with it. So let's see, 40%, 30%. For some reason, these still don't auto-conform. So what did I say? 0.4, 0.3. So we have just a basic hair model here. And the way the texturing is on this, let's look at the base here. And let's see here. This part. So a lot of these hair models are just going to have a texture like this, which is really super easy to work with. It's just just open one of these up in EarthenView. It's all it is. It's so simple to work with. These are the easiest ones to manipulate. There are other ones that are actually transmapped. I mean, these are technically transmapped too, but Ponytail is the same. It's actually using the same thing here. So the first thing is, like, say you're working in DAZ Studio and you want to apply a simple texture to this. Let's say you're in here and you don't have the convenience of having these presets that you can load, like this one here, where it'll just load something. You can just go into here, into this diffuse channel, and let me just go ahead and fix that. Actually, I'm going to be working on a lot of stuff on the right, so I need to shut off the chat. So we'll turn that off, and yeah, I'll move myself to the center. somewhere in here. Or even just, I'll put myself on the left and I'll turn off the GIF. That'll be better. Hopefully I won't have to go through too much over here on the left, because there's a window here that just tells you what the content is in these folders here. That's not a terribly big deal. A lot of what I'm going to be working with is just customizing. So I'm going to be working in the right pane. So you have a diffuse channel here, and if you don't have the option to just kind of click on presets, you can go in here, you can apply any texture you want. So you can change it from here, but you're going to be changing it per node. So like with the ponytail, it only has one surface, but this one has 4 different surfaces here. And this actually plays into something else that I'm going to get into with stuff like hairbands, bows, and things like that. So, but you can switch that over fairly easy. And so one thing I can show you here while I'm doing all this is I don't remember where this came from, but there are some free resources that you can get that have to do with hair. So I have some universal hair textures. These will work with this here. So this is like the first step. If you have something simple, you just want to change the texture, you can do this. It's so easy once you get used to it and you're actually doing stuff. So you select the nodes that are going to be part of the hair. And in order to just kind of double check, you can select stuff and then you can use your slider here in the opacity. And you can figure out exactly where each surface is. Now, when you're talking about your alpha maps, those are going to be a little bit different. This was all thrown into one, which is it's a good thing to do. This has its own. So this is actually, if I show you this, this is the transmapping for the ponytail. This is actually really easy to do too with brushwork, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, if you want to change something, this is really just a generic texture. Everything's going in one direction, and the hair is following that direction, so it works out really nice. But you can pick any one you want. So if I go into here, into this universal right here, you can apply it, and now bam, you have a new texture. Okay, so it's not gonna look any different here with the basic render with no lighting. I'll add lighting to it too, but yeah, it dropped 13 frames. That sucks. That's okay. As long as it doesn't tank too badly. So yeah, this is like your first step into a larger world. They're not all gonna look correct, but you just want something quick and dirty. You can change this stuff all around. Now, another thing you can do is you can change the colors of this stuff. It's pretty easy to do. So let's say you want to work with this texture, or even with like the original. If you want to work with the original texture and you just want to change the color, you don't like any of these colors here. You can take something like this. Right, as I copy it, throw it on the desktop. And I'll just send it right into GIMP. So here's one of the textures here. So if you just want to change the values here, if you go into the colors menu, you have all of these different options here. Usually go into this hue saturation. You can change the hue, so let's bring it to like some kind of a plum color. You can bring down the saturation. You can bring up the saturation. So if we like just super saturate it. And then there are other things you can do here. This is a brightness contrast filter. So you can do a little bit of this and bring out some of the accents here. And just export this as whatever, like test 1. So now we have our modified file here. And all I did was change the values, the color values, and the contrast. So if you go ahead and browse, you go to where your modified file is, you pick it, bam, you have a totally different texture now. Now this looks a little flat, so you can do other things here too. You can do something called a colorize, which is similar to moving around the hue and saturation, but this changes everything to one basic color. So if you do something like this here, everything's going to be one uniform color. Sometimes you're going to run into something where you have several different colors in there, and if you if you change the hue of the entire image, you're going to be changing all the colors. So if say you have red going into like blonde, and then you move that slider, as you're moving the red like over towards like the blue area, the yellow is going to move towards the green area at the same time, and then you're going to start to see artifacting where the colors are blended. So it's not always a good idea to do that. Sometimes you just have to colorize. So if you colorize this, hi Jello, I'll catch up here a little bit. Let me just kind of finish my train of thought. So you can do this, and again, you can mess around with the contrast, kind of bring out some of the highlights and stuff. And you can do something like this. You can also go into like your curves and levels here, so you can modify your levels. See what I'm doing there? This is really popping now. And you can move this around too. This will actually dim it, and this will bring it up a little bit. So what you're doing here is you're narrowing the output. You can take this and you can make it darker too. So now you have something that pops a little bit more. So let's just rename this like test 2. So if you want something to pop a little bit more, you can do something like this, and this actually has more of an effect on it. Okay, so catch up with chat here a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm working with Luna, and I can do highlights. I'm getting to that. So, but no problem, no problem. I knew there was going to be some chat interaction. I would just, you know, thing is, usually when Animus here is, I'm like trying to walk him through stuff, and then things get interrupted. And you're not interrupting by any means. The chat's okay. So don't feel like you're being or don't feel like you're putting me out. You're not. But the next thing I was gonna do, we'll go back to this base image here, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the color out. So you have something here called posterize, okay, which actually reduces the amount of colors that are in the image. But you also have desaturate. This takes out all the colors, so you just have grayscale. And you can do these in different ways here. So you can do this. Oh, don't be running away on me. So you can do a little bit of this, and then you can colorize on top of that, and you'll get a similar result. Like this, see? It's quite similar. But what I'm going to get into here is, let's see, we'll do, this is a foreground and background. So you got a foreground color and a background color, like for your brush. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a gradient. This is a lot of fun to do here. So you go into your gradient here and make sure this is selected to color. You have all these different options here. It's like same thing as your brush, and there's a texture brush too. But this is your gradient here, and you have several different kinds that you can choose from. I'll just usually go like with this. You got a hard edge, RGB. I'm not sure what is this one here. Counterclockwise? Whatever. I should just do the RGB here. Now watch this. Okay, maybe that's not as impactful as I expected. We'll push this over towards blue. And we'll move this over. That's good. You're gonna see more contrast there. So check this out. Text is chat is flying, so I'll get to that in a second. Export that as number 3. Browse to the file, and it's not going to be apparent in every surface, but you can really see there's a gradation there now. It's a neat effect on some things. So you can do that over here, and if you figure out how the mapping is done in here, you can do an effect in here too. Just like you would move, you can actually change this around. Like you can have where it's just the pink, like on the bottom part, or you could stop right here. Just have a little bit of purple on the top. It's a really neat tool. And I'm going to load up my custom light set here just so we can kind of show it off a little bit. Let's see here. 0.25. This needs to be around 60. Stuff is fine. Go to soft shadows. I'll render that out, and I'll check out what else is going on here. Yes. What this is a gradient. It's a gradient brush. But you could use that. You could use that for a fade effect. You could fade a color in and out. But of course, you'd have to colorize it. Otherwise, you'd be working, and I'll probably get into this too. You go into alpha layers. You can do all the stuff with alpha layers too. But let's see what you can do here with a color fade. Something like this. Oh, that didn't work. Why did it not work? There's a hard edge there. Why is there a hard edge? Sometimes this doesn't work as planned. So this would probably have to be, okay. Go back to the base image. And we'll do, this is how we'll do a fade of a color. Let's see if I can do this. Unless there's, maybe I can, I shouldn't be getting the hard edge. It's kind of weird. I shouldn't be getting a hard edge there. It should transition. I'll have to do the alpha. You right click on this and you get this menu here. So what we're going to do, if I can find it, is a layer mask. This is an alpha mask. So you want white full opacity. So your white value is going to be 100% opaque. And as it moves into the black value is where you get your transparency. But what you can do here, I probably shouldn't have done it that way. I'm going to copy this first. It's been a long time since I've done this, but let's add our layer mask. Set it to white. We'll set this to black. We'll set this to white. So we should switch those. So what you want selected, it's a little hard to see at first, but right now I have the texture selected. You click on this and you have the alpha selected. So you can do the same thing with the gradient here. And I think I have to set this to normal. You see how it gradually goes into transparency? Just like that. All right, it's gonna be a pain in the butt, isn't it? And I'll just hide this. Bear with me. But you can set all different fades here. So let's stick with this over here. What we're gonna do here, let's say we colorize it, or let's say we're pulling color away from it. So if we go back into desaturate, we'll do this. We'll probably lighten it and add some contrast. So do a little bit of contrast here, brighten it up, a little bit more contrast. See how you have a little bit of, I don't know what you would call it. It fades. It fades into this null value. And then you can colorize this too. And this is how you can do tips, frosted tips and stuff on here too. So if you colorize this, let's say we go into like a pinkish value here. Does it amp up the saturation? See what you did there? This stuff it's so cool and so simple once you figure out how to use these tools. Well, thank you. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this. As I said before, there was somebody on Facebook this afternoon was asking about stuff about hair textures. He was really vague about it, but he finally came around to saying that he wanted to do colors. So it's like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, you have all these tools. You got this tool, you get that tool. You can do this. You can do this with the texture. You can fade this. Yeah, I'm going into all these things. He's like, oh, great. Is that something you've streamed before? I was like, oh, no, but I could probably do that in the future. So then I'm thinking about it. I was like, why don't I just do it today? So I'll do that, and then I'll post whatever I have finished. And see with this, you can colorize this too. This is more steps to do a gradient. But the other thing with this is that's neat is, yeah, you can fade this out into like an alpha, into like a 100% alpha. So you can do that too. This is a very good method for creating alpha maps for hair. This is kind of what you would do. So, but I can colorize this too. I can colorize this into a different shade. Those are kind of terrible colors there. Well, let's say we did something like this over here. So now you have something like this, right? And you export that, and then you can change that. Select both of these. I might actually keep some of these too. You don't see it as apparent here, because again, you have to kind of figure out where the verts are and how they fall according to the model. So there's a lot of trial and error here. Some of this stuff is by no means is any of this going to be like finished stuff. So what else should I go into? I'm going to check that Facebook post real quick. I'll check for, okay, no drop frames. Good, cool. Yeah, what I want to do is change color. Messing around with Pixie, a program which shows colors of whatever you point your cursor to. And that's actually, let me bring that up too. I'll bring this up here. I have a tool here. It's called Color Utility. Now, there's very little in the way of free stuff for Windows for color design. Like if you want to design your own palette. On Linux, you have something called Agave, and you can plug a color in, and it'll come up with values for a palette. You have several different formats for it. But Windows, it's like you got to go to a website or you have to use a paid program. So it's really tough to figure out with that. But if you want to pick colors in Windows, this is a free utility here. It's just a color utility, and let's see if this pulls up a website. Oh, that sucks. That really sucks. Okay, so apparently it's no longer available on the internet. So if you're looking for this utility, send me a PM and I'll zip this over to you. There are other color utilities, so this is just the one that I've been using for a couple of years. But sometimes I do this to try to match up colors, like if I'm working here in Dash Studio. But you click this eyedropper, and you can click anywhere on your desktop or if you have an image opened up or whatever. I can even go in here, and I can pick the color that OBS, that right here what OBS is. And it has all of your different values here that you need. There's the RGB value, HSV value. There are filters here. You can do a negative color. This is the negative color of the hot pink that I picked. Intensify. See? And there's your sepia tone right there. So this is it's really cool stuff. This is a let's see, yeah, this converts to web safe colors. Don't really need that unless you're using maybe if you're using sprites or something, I guess. But yeah, if you just need a quick value, you can. The only problem with this is it does not stay on top of the desktop, so you have to keep switching things around. So if you go back to DAZ Studio and you need to change a color, you need to match it up, you just have to pull it up again. But then you can read off these values. What I would really like is if, like in Linux, there's an application in Linux that will drop that stuff into, it'll drop, what am I thinking of? It'll drop that stuff into clipboard. And then you can go into another application that reads the clipboard and you can just move the value back and forth. Can't do that in Windows unless you're using paid programs. Anyway. That was just a little, it's kind of off in La La Land type of thing that I thought of. But what else can we get into? I don't know, because I have a whole ton of these textures. Some of these other ones that are made for others might actually work okay too. Sometimes they look a little janky. So if you do a little test over here with this, it may look kind of funny. Yeah, it looks kind of weird, but it would still actually work. If you do like just certain parts of it. But you can see I've done a lot of gradients and stuff, even with other parts over here. Like if I just open this up really quick, like I just needed certain parts of the hair to be a different color, so I just colored them. Change the values of the color with the brush. And then I just applied that texture. So I had some blue locks of hair. Here's another gradient that I did a while ago. So this looks kind of neat. Again, this is probably not the best example of a hair model to work with, but it's simple. Yeah, dropped a few more frames there. As long as it's viewable, I think the whole thing will be viewable. But you can do something like this, and then you can do something with just the bangs. See, because again, some of these hair models have a lot of different surfaces. So if I just wanted to do something like this here, now it's just like, now you just got the tips blue. You can invert this stuff too. That's pretty right there. That's pretty cool. Almost makes me want to do another project with Luna here with this hair. This is how a lot of the projects go. I'll just open up DAZ Studio and just start messing around with stuff, and then I come up with something. It just kind of flows out. So that looks pretty cool though. What else can I get into here? He just asked about colors. Pretty much covered all the bases. Yeah, I think so. I think that'll be okay. I don't think if there's anything else that I could kind of go over. Let's see, gradients did fade. Just changing color values on the fly. Yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to change color. Yeah, I guess that's about it.